Are you crazy? Because I know I am, and this is Cardfight Crazy. And in this video I have a deck profile of my Dark Irregulars. So first thing, 7 grade 3s. The most important one being King of Masks Dantarian. It's a break ride and a great break ride, and just became even better in G era, and he's fantastic. So when a Dark Irregular rides over this unit, they choose one of your Vanguards, it gets 10,000 power, and more importantly, choose 3 of your rear guards and they get continuous. This unit gets plus 1,000 for every card in your soul until end of turn. So even after you break ride, if your soul goes up, their power goes up by 1,000 each. And when he attacks a Vanguard, Soul Charge 1, he gains plus 1,000 power, and it's got Lord. Backup grade 3, a holdover from the time, and a card I still like, especially if you go up against something that's grade locked or something that's designed to grade lock. Amon Reverse, Limit Break 4, choose one of your rear guards and lock it. This unit gets plus 1,000 for every card in your soul. If this unit has gained at least 6,000 power, it gains 1 critical. Lord and plus 2k if you have the regular Amon in the soul, but this deck does not run the regular Amon. I love the Dark Irregulars. I've had this general build for a really long time. 2 units that could be a starter. Enigmatic Assassin for when you're going up something that's going to try to retire your starter, and Verflatter Ordinaz for everything else. So Verflatter, our main starter, Forerunner, act Generation Break 1, Counterblast 1, and put Verflatter in the soul, then Soul Charge 2, and if the number of cards in your soul is 6 or greater, draw a card. Enigmatic Assassin, auto from the soul. At the beginning of your attack step, if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more, you may call this unit to a rear guard. If you do, this unit gets plus 5,000, and if the number of cards in your soul is 15 or more, this unit gains another 10,000. So it's at the beginning of the attack step, so you can call it out when your Vanguard attacks. That's generally what you're going to do. If you go into Gilderai, you slide it out at the beginning of your attack step, still boost, and it becomes a 20k booster, or it can become a 20k unit on the rear guard. Just, you have to have 15 cards in soul to be able to get that 20k. So you gotta have 16 including it, 15 without it. For Amon's followers, Hell's Trick, do run the grade 3 Amon, do potentially have the ability to use the Amon critical trigger, which is coming up, but for heals, because I like to heal, G-Guards, help you get cards in soul when you're facing something that doesn't allow you to call much rear guards. 4 copies of Monochrome of Nightmare Land, probably the most important trigger that's in the deck. So rear guard, act, Generation Break 1, put this unit on top of your deck, shuffle your deck, Soul Charge 1, and if the number of cards in your soul is 6 or greater, Counter Charge 1. Then if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or greater, draw a card. Six critical triggers. 4 of them being Amon's follower Cruel Hands for the Amon name, and 4 of them being Amon's follower Grossum. Now Grossum, if you have this printing, which I think he was only printed this one time, it has a misprint, so it's got an errata on it. Counterblast 1 card with Amon in its card name. When this unit is put into your soul, if the number of cards in your soul is 6 or greater, and you have a Vanguard with Amon in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, your opponent chooses one of their rear guards to retire. Now the errata is that you have to have the Vanguard with Amon in its card name. I played this before I knew the errata, and it was a little better then. Now it's something that can happen. It very rarely does, especially since you have to have the Amon Vanguard. But it's still useful, and I just decided not to go away from it. 2 copies of Hysteric Shirley, Now, the draw in this deck comes after Generation Break, so hitting a draw trigger beforehand is still really great. Hitting a draw trigger on your damage check is fantastic, and generally a trigger I want to see. But it's also got a skill of Act, put this unit into your soul from rearguard. If you do, soul charge 1. So it can be those 2 extra cards that you need in your soul. Just that ability to gain 2 extra cards in the soul, incredibly useful. I don't find that decking out is too much of a problem, because with this deck, once you get to 15, you can shut off the soul charge. 4 copies of Amon's follower Vlad's Specula. So it's a regular Sentinel, and it can guard for every unit, but it has the Amon name. 4 copies of Stride Fodder. Searches out Sharrot, gains 2 grade when it's ditched for Stride. 3 copies of Killing Ballmaster. Auto from rearguard. At the beginning of your main phase, you may put this unit into your soul. If you do, soul charge 2. So we gain 3 cards into the soul. It's not Generation Break restricted. And since it's on the main phase, it can power up the 1 copy of Doreen the Thruster. I like Doreen the Thruster, but I find that 1 copy is just better for me because I need cards that do soul charge, and I get the major power-ups from the Break Ride turn. Auto from rearguard. During your main phase, when a card is put into your soul, this unit gains plus 3,000 until end of turn. So it'll stack, and depending on how many cards you put in the soul, you'll gain that much power times 3,000. Dimension Creeper 2. Act from the soul, put Dimension Creeper in the drop zone and soul charge 2. So for every D-Creep you pop out, you're getting 1 card in the soul. So you take out D-Creep, you soul charge 2, you go from 13 to 14, 14 to 15. It's that 1 power-up that you need. 3 copies of Flirtatious Succubus. I like unfettered soul charge, so something that doesn't have to rely on it hitting or anything. And Flirtatious Succubus is just that. When it's placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, soul charge 1. 2 copies of Decadent Succubus. Decadent Succubus is the preferred grade 2 ride because its skill is auto Vanguard. When your other Dark Irregular is placed on Rearguard, you may soul charge 1. So when you ride a Decadent Succubus, you call Flirtatious, you soul charge 1 for Flirtatious and 1 for Decadent. Call another Decadent, and you can soul charge another one. Call a Blue Dust, and you'll soul charge 1. Blue Dust, he is on hit, but you don't have to pay a counterblast or anything, and it's just when this unit attack hits. So you can hit a Vanguard, hit a Rearguard, and you soul charge 1, but I'd prefer to take him out for 2 more of Squallmaker Vampire. Generation Break 1 from Rearguard, Counterblast 1 when this unit attacks a Vanguard. If it is boosted, it gains plus 5,000 and soul charge 2. Or 2 more Doppel Vampire, probably 1 and 1. Doppel Vampire is the main grade 2 because on the Break Ride turns, it's magnificent. So you're powering up by 15,000, you go into Gilderai, and then you get him, because you have 15 cards in the soul. He gains plus 15, then another 5 off of his skill, then your opponent can't guard with grade 0s. It's a lot of guard restrict. Generation Break 1, Darkness, and I didn't explain Darkness yet, but Darkness is when a card is put into your soul during the turn. Auto from Rearguard, Generation Break 1 in Darkness. When this unit attacks, if the number of cards in your soul is 6 or more, this unit gains 5,000 power. Then if the number of cards in your soul is 15 or more, until end of turn, your opponent cannot guard with grade 0s from hand. On to the G-Zone. 4 copies of Agrat Bat Malat. When Agrat Bat Malat is used to guard, you can soul charge 2. If you do, it gains plus 5,000 shield until end of battle. 2 copies of Great Demon Soulless Demagogue. Auto from Vanguard during your main phase. When a unit is put into your soul, the Vanguard gets continuous. All your units in the front row gain plus 1,000. So it'll also stack. And the nice thing about it is it's just the Vanguard, so if you put a lot of cards into your soul and then you call other units, they still gain the power up because it's just the Vanguard gaining the skill. All your units in the front row gain power. 3 copies of Darkness Stride, Irregulars. Auto from Vanguard. Darkness. When this unit attacks Soul Charge 2, and if the number of cards in your soul is 6 or more, it gets the ability that when the attack hits, your opponent chooses one of his or her rearguards and retires it, and if the number of cards in your soul is 15 or more, this unit gets plus 1,000 for every card in your soul. 3 copies of Kiss Kill Liara for when you first stride and you really feel like they're going to let it hit. When the attack hits, Soul Charge 2, and if 6 or more in your soul, draw a card. And finally, 4 of the main stride, the boss stride, break right turns with Doppel Vampires. Magnificent, because then you go into Gilderai. Act from Vanguard once per turn. G Persona Blast. This unit gets plus 10,000 power. Then, alright, I get that specific placement. Alright. Act once per turn. G Persona Blast. If the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more, if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more, Gilderai gains 10,000 power. Then, if the number of cards in your soul is 15 or more, it gets continuous. Right? It gets auto when this unit attacks. Your opponent cannot call grade 1 or greater cards from hand to Guardian Circle. And then, if you have GB3, it gains a crit. So you can get the Guard Restrict without GB3. You can get the critical without gaining the power or the Guard Restrict. And you can gain the power and the Guard Restrict without gaining the critical. So that was everything for my Dark Irregular deck. I'm Joey from Cardfight Crazy. I think this is one of the best break rides in the game because of the power you can do. Break riding, then going into Gilderai, and having your Doppels on the field beforehand. Just the simple turn, a break ride, power them up by 15,000, go into Gilderai, can't call grade 1 and greater, can't call zeros. It's magnificent. This is Cardfight Crazy. Hope you're crazy too.